This task requires you to read an article on StudySync. So, after you've signed into StudySync, locate this article, which is called Managing Coronavirus Anxiety. Notice that the essential question for this particular article is: how can you manage your anxiety during times of crisis? This provides you a focus for what this reading selection will be about. Now, your job is to carefully read this selection and make two different colors of highlights throughout. First, you're going to highlight blue whatever the experts say about coronavirus anxiety. So, as you're reading, if you hear an expert talking, you're going to want to highlight it blue and then type a comment or annotation that explains what the expert's saying using your own words. So don't just repeat what the text says, find a new way to say it. Then you're going to want to make some green highlights also. And the things that you should highlight green are the ways that people can avoid anxiety. Then, when you write your comment or annotation, I want you to explain how those strategies might help people feel better in times of crisis. So, what you would do is read carefully, make your blue annotations, make your green annotations. It's always helpful to turn on the number tab and make sure your annotation tab is orange. There's only 7 paragraphs here, and the last paragraph doesn't even count really because it's only 3 sentences, so it's not so much to read. After you're finished reading and annotating, you'll come back up here to the left and create your own blast. You're answering the question: how can you manage your anxiety during times of crisis? Then you'll take the quick poll, and that's when this orange submit button will light up. Go ahead and submit your response and look at the results from other people who've taken the poll too. The last job you have is try to guess the number crunch. And after you've made your guess, click this question mark to reveal the answer. All right, if you feel like you've got this task on your own, you can actually go ahead right now, pause the video, and get to work. If you feel like you'd like someone to read the text to you, well, then keep watching because I'm going to read this article to you so you can follow along with me if you want. Sheltering in place at home can be fun. You can play video games and board games. You can watch movies. You can video chat with friends. But as the coronavirus crisis lasts longer and longer, it can feel scary. Thankfully, experts have advice for how to deal with coronavirus related anxiety. Feeling anxiety and fear right now is normal, according to psychiatrist Joshua Morgenstein. Fear and uncertainty are the hallmark response to things that people don't understand and that they feel threaten their safety, Morgenstein told CNBC. And remember, people around the world are dealing with the same anxieties and fears. Remember, we're not alone, added psychiatrist Rika Bhatia. Morgenstein also advises being careful with how much media you consume. In uncertain times, the tendency is to really almost drown in the news, Morgenstein said. You shouldn't avoid the news entirely, but he recommends that people dial down our exposure to media content. Morgenstein also recommends that people avoid receiving or spreading news on social media. Instead, they should turn to reliable sources. These may include the World Health Organization and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Even so, you may sometimes feel overwhelmed. So, psychologist Joel Minden advises being kind to oneself. If you're warm and supportive when other people get overwhelmed, see if you can treat yourself the same way, Minden told Vox. A good response to destructive ideas like, "What's wrong with me? Why am I getting so anxious?" is something like, "It's okay to have difficult feelings. I know where they may come from. I want to be patient and kind with myself because I'm going through a hard time, and that's okay." Anxiety is an evolutionary adaptation. It allows people to recognize fear in other people and use it as a form of protection, according to psychologist Rick Hanson. If we see other people wearing masks in public, it can make us anxious, he told Vox. And that's a perfectly ordinary kind of thing. What we should do from a practical standpoint is to take on reasonable input from others, but meanwhile, not let fear itself be contagious. Australian nonprofit This Way Up recommends that people find joy in their connection with others. If you're feeling lonely or isolated, speak with your friends, family, or people you know on the phone or via Skype. Try not to passively follow updates on social media, said This Way Up's official website. Social distancing doesn't need to mean that you can't stay connected with others. The nonprofit also recommends that people focus on elements they can control, like washing your hands, maintaining good hygiene, and sticking to a normal routine where possible. Hansen says you should focus on your own mental health. It's important to help others. We'll look back and ask ourselves how we conducted ourselves during this time, including how we treated other people, Hansen says. All we can do each day is the best we can do, but we can do the best we can each day. What do you think? What are some ways to try to stay updated and safe? How can you manage your anxiety during times of crisis? Well, guys, that was all 7 paragraphs. I definitely heard some quotes from different experts talking about managing anxiety during this coronavirus crisis. So remember that quotes from experts should be highlighted blue, and you need to explain what they're talking about using your own words. And then I also heard some ways that people can feel better and have less anxiety. So remember that those are items that we'd want to highlight in green. Your annotation should explain how those strategies might help people feel better. If you need any help during the week as you're working on this, remember that my office hours are on Wednesday, and you can email me to set an appointment for a video chat. Maybe we could do 1 or 2 annotations together if you're having a tough time. All right. I know you can do it. You'll do a great job, and I'll see you on Friday's video chat. Bye, guys.